Hello, and welcome to the More Cheese, Less Whiskers.com podcast. My name is Dean Jackson, and if you've ever thought that you might like to take the lessons and the experience and the things that you've learned in growing your successful business and helping other people grow their successful business, you're going to enjoy this podcast. We're talking today with Randy Redinger from South Dakota. Little known fact, my short, brief period of time home when I was, my father was in the U.S. Air Force Base, so we'll reveal that in this podcast. But Randy has a desire to help plumbing contractors really build a successful business by helping them avoid the pitfalls that he knows how to help them avoid, set up operational systems. And we were talking today about the marketing systems of those. And so this all fits into a category that is one of my favorite things that I call syndication, where essentially what you're doing is taking a proven model when you've figured something out for a business and you can shortcut somebody's process. You can, almost like a franchise prototype, create an operating manual for them to follow, a roadmap to get a result. That's really a wonderful thing. Now, Randall's at the very, very early stages of setting this up. So we get a conversation about how to think about this, the baby steps of how to do this. And I think that you will enjoy the conversation if that's something that you've ever thought about. And why wouldn't it be something that you think about, by the way? If you've got a successful business and there are other people in the same business as you, it's a great idea. You know, nobody's ever going to appoint you to the position of leader in your field. But guess what? Nobody's going to stop you from taking that position as well. So come into this one with a sense of possibility, and I think you might enjoy what we're going to talk about. Randy Redinger, I presume.
Mr. Dean Jackson, yes it is. How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm just so excited to be on this phone call with you.
Well, that's awesome. Where are you calling from?
I live in eastern South Dakota.
Eastern South Dakota. Do you know, there's a little known fact about Dean Jackson that I used to live in South Dakota. I don't remember it, of course, because I was 6 months old. And my father was in the U.S. Air Force. And there was a Air Force base somewhere in South Dakota. But I have pictures to prove it.
That would be western South Dakota, and that would be Ellsworth Air Force Base by Rapid City.
Well, there you go. And I've never been back, but I would love to come and see what you got there.
So, well, if you ever go back, Mount Rushmore is about 15, 20 miles from where you lived when you were 6 months old.
Yeah, that's what I have pictures of me at Mount Rushmore. So there you go. Now that's in North Dakota, though, isn't it?
No, that's South Dakota.
Oh, okay. I thought that was in North Dakota. So we are recording right now. We've got the whole hour to hatch some evil schemes, and so why don't we talk about what you've got going on, what you're working on, and what you think we could hatch out for you today.
Okay, so a little bit of background on me, so you know a little bit where I'm coming from here. I learned the trade of plumbing. I'm 47 now, so this would have been in 1990 when I first started that trade.
Okay. Hey, Brando, first of all, are you on a speaker phone? Because it sounds you're a little bit hollow.
No, I'm actually on my phone with headphones on.
Okay. Well, then I guess we'll do with what you got. It sounded a little echoey. Okay. So
I'm in an office. So anyhow, yeah, I learned that trade, and then over the years, I learned a few other trades. heating and air conditioning, some electrical and boiler work and different things. And I had businesses during that time as a contractor.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm doing now is I'm starting a business, and I've got it, 90% of the way formed how it will be.
Okay.
And I want to help other contractors avoid the pain that I went through as a contractor. And the typical story of, I don't know what the percentage is, it's got to be very high, how people become contractors is they do like I did. That is, they learn a trade, they get good at it, they get tired of working for other people, so they go on their own. And the mindset is that because I know how to do plumbing or HVAC or whatever, I know how to run a business that provides that service. And it's prototypical E-Myth. I mean, if you guys have read that book, it's exactly that.
Of course.
Yeah. So my mission in life, as far as work is concerned, is to help people not do that, not go through the pain of being all excited, getting things set up, and then not realizing how many moving parts there are to a business. You can't just go out and do plumbing and expect to succeed. So that's where I'm coming from. So my business, the way I'm setting it up is I'm going to have 5 modules within the business, and I'm going to, each module will have price points within it depending on need and ability to pay and desire to pay. And then I will set it up a la carte after an initial visit and provide the different parts that they need. So these are the 5 parts. Financial, and then there's marketing, which is why I'm talking to you today. Sales training, operational and organizational stuff, and then what I call mindset. It's really coaching, but the blue collar world does not like that term very well, so I had to kind of rename it. But it's basically that part of it is teaching them that if they don't approach their business right, all the rest of it doesn't matter. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm trying to do. As far as setting up my business, as far as marketing my business, I've kind of got that path figured out. What I would like from you, if possible, is to come up with a good system to help my clients market their business as service providers.
Mm-hmm. So in this marketing module here. Now, so when you look at it, what's the thing that you're going to be able to get as a result for people? You know, how are you going to kind of position this for them? What's going to be the dream come true for them? Is it the education, or are you going to provide some services in those areas?
Well, I think it will depend. I'm kind of approaching it like Russell Brunson teaches, and that is, I will offer a fairly inexpensive part within the module that says, this is how you do it. This is what you can do to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the most expensive end, I will do it for them, but it's going to cost them a lot of money because it takes my time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be, in my mind, a combination, an either or.
Right. Okay. Now, so when you say starting up now, have you done this for anybody yet? Do you have any clients, or are you literally just starting up right now?
I am just starting up right now. I've actually been planning and scheming on this for a while, and as you know, you can only do that so long. It's time to actually do something. So that first step is kind of the hardest one, and I guess with the marketing thing, it's probably the weakest part of what I have to offer, because the rest of it I've been through and I know how to help these guys with the marketing. Is weak.
You know how to help the guys with with the operational stuff and the financial and all of that, but the marketing thing is the weakest link of that. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. However,
okay.
I think it's got to be almost the most important thing. So,
how do plumbers? Yeah, when you look at it right now, how do plumbers get business right now? What's the best? If you were to take what you learned from being a plumbing contractor, what's the thing that predictably got you new clients here?
Well, that's a little bit of a difficult question, because in my mind, there's two different types of plumbing companies, or two different situations. One is the one I was in, and that is when you are in a small area and you have virtually no competition.
Yes.
Okay. You might have some, but it's pretty easy to overcome it if you can do things correctly. The other one is in a bigger area where you got lots of competition and you're fighting for, in a red ocean, basically. You're fighting for the same customers.
Yes.
So my experience has been in a small market, and it's basically really hoping that people call.
Right, and just getting your lottery ticket out there, right? Putting your thing, getting on the map, getting in Google.
Well, and my experience is long enough ago, it was really not Google. It was more Yellow Pages centered.
I got you. Yeah.
And
you put
advertisements above urinals and bars and that kind of stuff.
Okay. So when you start thinking about that now in the modern world, who would be, because you don't have any clients yet, so who would be your ideal client? Would it be people who are trying to compete in a tough market, or people who are in a marketplace where there's little competition and you can help them organizationally,
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think that the people in the smaller markets aren't without competition.
Right.
They just don't have very much. So they still need the marketing thing to overcome what competition they have.
Right.
That's where my experience lies. And that's where probably I will focus my initial. I know I need to kind of drill down and get fairly specific, with my target market. My thing is, with even those people, their goal in my mind is not to get a bunch of customers. It's to get a bunch of customers that are customers they want, right? So the people that want to use them, they want to pay what it takes to get a quality job, not the people that are tire kickers and that nickel and dime you every time you do a job, and you weren't here that long, and so on and so forth. So,
right.
And I get that from you, actually, in listening to your various podcasts. I think it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to figure out who your ideal client is. So, part of this thing, because I'm listening to you, and it's not unlike a lot of people who have had some experience in a business and think, I really would like to help other people in that in a business. And so, what I look at is, you have to have a prototype. You have to have something that you can point to as the shining example of what you have, right? So when you look at it, where your argument is that if you had a successful plumbing business that runs on its own with systems and procedures and all of your best things in place, that you can point to as the proof that this works, that becomes your very best marketing tool. Because otherwise, and it sounds like right now, what you're having to do, starting from scratch, is going out to these plumbers and then figuring out how you can help them.
Yes.
So what I would recommend is, do you have one plumber? Like, it sounds like what you're looking for is, if we could articulate this in terms of the way we think about it, with a before unit and a during unit and an after unit, that what I'm hearing you say is that if you could come in maybe and run the before unit and the after unit for somebody, allowing that plumber who was a contractor and really liked doing that and wants to do it on their own, just like you talked about the typical E-Myth guy, just wants to do the thing, the technician element of it, that you can come in and support them with the entrepreneurial kind of surroundings, entrepreneurial support for that, where you could implement or run. Like, I can share with you that just teaching them how to do the marketing is going to be an uphill thing, because they're, for exactly the reasons that they need the help, they're probably running, busy doing plumbing, if that's where they're coming from, right? You know how in the E-Myth, Michael talks about the technician and the manager and the entrepreneur, right? And that what you're perhaps where people would really see an opportunity is if you could come in and offer the management layers of that, the structured layers of it,
So you're saying, but in general, to be more involved with the actual marketing and not teaching of it.
Well, I'm saying that's if you're going to be able to get the results, the first place would be, and best place would be, to have your own prototype that is you know what I'm saying? Is like, this is how we run this system. I just spoke at an event with a gentleman who has a big company that coaches and trains home service people. But he went, he's built that on the back of a $28 million service business that he has successfully built using his own systems. So now what he's teaching, what's that?
Is that Frank Blow by any chance?
No, it's Mike Aguilero.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Mike has built a $28 or $30 million business using the systems, and that's a completely operating business that's out and thriving and growing. And what he's teaching, or then he's sharing with people in other markets what he's done, and so he can always point to his business as the example of proof that this actually works. He's what these people are aspiring to grow to, Yeah. So when you look at it, so if you're coming into a business where, you're looking at a business who is either, busy and too busy to do marketing, or they've hit that ceiling where there's more work than they can handle, that's going to be one thing. Or if you're getting somebody the moment they kind of open up their business, that you are helping to get them off the ground and get them going. Where do you think that your sweet spot is?
Well, because of the story, the entrepreneurial story of that deal, and based on my experience and my experience as a salesperson selling to contractors, which I've done, and at friends that are contractors, when you start out, you have the world by the tail. And you got it all figured out, you know exactly how it's going to work, and it's exciting and fun, and you don't need help with your marketing. Typically, for the first 2 years, when you go on your own, you keep busy just with friends and family projects. And so that's part of it.
Yeah.
And then when that 2 years, you got a whole bunch of, the back of the lack of a better term, a whole bunch of crap rains down on your head. Part of it is that you're out of work because you burned through all the work that you had to start. Part of it is that your bad decisions financially are starting to catch up to you. You know, you're buying things that you really couldn't afford because you didn't know how to make that decision. So that kind of stuff. So where I'm going with all that is that a startup company, unless they're a seasoned business person, they're not going to probably hire me. It's the person that's already been going for a while and they're having issues, and it's a combination of things. Like you said, it could be the person that's super busy and they're disorganized and need help getting organized, and it could be that they're not competing well against the competition in the marketplace and need help with marketing and sales training. You know, it's a mishmash of different things. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, so I'm looking at it that if you take it, that it's somebody who, because this is part of getting crystal clear on your target audience, you know. So not somebody new, trying to get a picture of this person, and are they? What does their company look like? Are they? You know, one truck kind of sole proprietor, kind of you know, out with maybe an assistant and an office person, or what is that? How many people are on that in that business?
I would say I've been thinking about this because I've read your stuff, listened to you, I know it's important. I would say between 3 and 10 people in the company, and that would be a combination of service people, office people, and possibly, you know, maybe some general labor type people, just like assistants. Yeah, because if you're a one-man band, which I have been, you have your fingers on everything all the time. It's not rocket science, but that's when you're trying to grow and you're adding complexity because of employees and more work and more overhead and all that kind of stuff. That's when you start to need help. And if you're, you know, from a marketing perspective, if you are super busy, but you're doing work that does not pay well because you're not targeting the right customer, that's when it gets stuck. I hope that answers the question.
And so, at that level, what kind of revenue would they be doing?
Well, when I had, I think 5 people working for me, I did just under $1 million. So I mean, we're talking from $500,000 to $1.5 million, maybe $2 million, depending. If there's heavy equipment sales, that goes up.
Okay. Boy, I'm having a harder time hearing you, Randall. There's something going on with your headset.
Maybe I'll just take this out and hold this phone up to my head the old-fashioned way.
Oh wow, that's so much better. Wow, it feels like you're here now.
Is that better?
Okay. Oh,
all right.
So much better.
Sorry about that, Dean.
Okay, good. No problem. That's awesome. Okay, so when you look at that, like going, that 500,000, so they're up and running. They've probably got some consistent business going, but the problems that they're running into are time issues, really, right? Where they can't, they're busy enough just keeping all the wheels rolling, and they can't imagine scaling that way, right? Harder to imagine that. What would you do if you came into a business like that? Like, what's the first thing if you were to look at it and say, that's the person I can help, and if they would just get out of the way and let you help them, what would be the things that you would do? What would you enact first, kind of thing?
Sure. Well, the very first thing that has to be done is to get my hands on a copy of their profit and loss statement and their balance sheet and run some numbers just to see how they're doing financially and where the money's at.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then what?
Well, depending on what that shows. So, I mean, it's going to show different things. It's going to show they have way too much overhead and they can't afford it. It's going to show that they're too top heavy in office help, for instance, which would, kind of be part of an overhead issue. It could show that they aren't charging enough, which is often an issue. They're not basing their pricing on anything other than a gut feeling, which is super typical, and I was guilty of that myself. It just depends on what I found out based on that analysis. And then from there, if they're having a hard time closing sales, for instance, I do some sales training with them. If the people that they're serving isn't the market they really want to be serving, I help with marketing and get that figured out. If they are sticking their head in the sand regarding making decisions in their business based on the right stuff, I would tell them, okay, we got to visit and you need some help figuring out what mindset you need to be successful. So that I would go down that road. It would depend on what the numbers told me.
Okay. And then, and you've already, I guess what I'm looking for is, do you already have systems in place for this to install? Or you're just kind of starting out as you go we're going to create this kind of?
Well, I have lots and lots of papers with writing on it. And I've got lots of ideas.
And there's the thing, right? You got lots of, you've got ideas. And I think that what you are going to find is that that's going to maybe be an uphill situation, and I wonder if you're looking at it, the thing that you have to have in mind is that you have a prototype. If you obviously have read the E-Myth, so we talk about that as going to work on the prototype, just like Ray Kroc did with his McDonald's, right? You get the prototype and you create the system that is ready to install, right? So it's not unlike all the things that I do with the real estate agents, right? So I started out as a real estate agent and figured out some marketing strategies for my own business, and then I started licensing that successful system to 40 agents around me in non-competing markets. And then we built a big coaching company all over North America on the backs of all of those systems. So when it was all based on taking the seed of a workable, proven algorithm, I've used that word now. It's like, what you really are gearing towards is setting up what I call your scale-ready algorithm. That if you take, how many of these plumbers are in that situation where they're at $500,000 to $1.5 million, they've got 3 to 4 or 5 people. They're reaching a point of complexity, or they've plateaued at that level and they can't really get beyond it. And there's frustrations that go in it. Is not unlike who our target market. I just kind of share those kind of things with you because just to maybe shine a light on some of these, like with us in the real estate world, we've broken down the ideal clients as there's basically 4 categories, and these would probably be applicable to plumbers as well. That we've got, a brand new agent that is just getting started in real estate and is bright-eyed and optimistic and hopeful and hopes they make it and doesn't know what to do. And they're just kind of getting started. Everything is new, but they've got high hopes. Then there's the agent who has been in real estate for a couple of years. They've made it. They've kind of survived the first couple of years. They're doing business. They know how to do business, and they're good if they just had more people to work with. They're competent real estate agents. They just need a system to help get them in front of more people. Then there are the next level up from that are the agents who are perpetually busy. They're the prototypical successful agents. They've been in business for a long time. They've maybe got some assistants. There is just constant activity all around them, very busy, time's an issue. And then there are the agents who are building a team, like building a whole team concept, an organization around their stuff. Now, our sweet spot for our go-go agent platform is the second category, the agent that's been in real estate for a couple of years. They're approaching 6 figures, or they're at 6 figures, and they're ready to go to $1 million. That's our sweet spot, right? To get somebody, and then they can use our systems to grow their business, rather than trying to get to an agent who's already at $1 million or already approaching $1 million, and then try and retrofit our systems over top of what they're doing. So I think that there may be the same kind of opportunity for you to break that down. Like if you think about a plumber who's got the 3 to 4 people and the $500,000, that might be what we would call that category 2, for you, an experienced person, not somebody just getting started, and not somebody who's got 3 or 4 trucks already and a big business going forward. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Okay.
So
if you look
real
at
quick,
it,
Dean, I just wanted to throw one thing out. I've been dying to say it, but I didn't want to interrupt, and that is that this concept of the prototype is exactly what I've been wanting to do. But if I go to somebody with my system and I have a weak marketing system, it doesn't make any sense. So I've got some thoughts of people I know that I think would say, yeah, you bet, I'd love it for you to come in and help me fix stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go in there and say, well, I think marketing, we could try this or we could try that, and have them spend a bunch of money that's not going to get them anything.
Right. Yeah, perfect.
So, anyhow,
so I think that's job one, is to, when you look at it, all of those other things that you were talking about, the financials and the sales and the operational stuff and the mindset stuff, those are all things that you have the ability to help them with right now, right? Is that what I'm hearing? And what kind of a difference do you think just those things could make before, like getting those as the foundation before somebody even starts with the marketing?
Oh, a huge difference depending on what their needs are. I mean, if they're already busy and they're actually doing the work that they want to be doing, for the people they want to be doing it for in general, but they're struggling with whatever it might be, then yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that has value, right, in itself. I mean, that would be something that when you start to look at it about what a difference that can make, you're going to get a sense of what the value of that would be. How to charge for something like that. Or do you already have a formula for how you would charge for it?
I've got that pretty much nailed down. What I did was I started out with what do I want to make initially, and I guess you can tell me if my thought process was right, but I wrote down a figure. I want to make this much a year, and it's not a huge number, but it's not wages either. And so breaking that down and trying to be realistic about my projections on who would pick what program and so on and so forth based on my experience and knowing other people and whatnot, I came up with some pricing. So like, for instance, just a for instance here, so kind of how I'm thinking on the financial side. The least expensive package would cost somebody $297. And what they would get is an analysis of their situation based on their P&L statement and their balance sheet, and that would take me a couple hours to do. So that would be the least expensive thing, and then it just goes up from there. And I would get involved. The more I get involved, the more it costs them. So the most expensive thing there would be for me to come to their site and go through it with them, teach them how to use it, teach them how to do their ratios and that kind of stuff. And that would cost them maybe $2,500 plus expenses to get there and stay and whatever. So that's kind of how my thinking goes.
I got it. And so, part of that is, looking at it from their perspective, and that's always the best perspective to take initially, is to start looking at it and see, regardless of what it costs, what's the best thing? There's so much about kind of like reverse engineering it from what your need is. When it turns out that maybe that $2,500 process that you're doing for somebody could yield an extra $100,000 for them or something. What kind of a difference would it make? That's what you want to look at. And keep that, because there's no pricing it based on your time or your, is really, that's not optimal. When you can price something based on the value that you're bringing, the result that you're bringing, that's really where you can get into, regardless of how long it takes. People have an insatiable appetite for the result,
Yes.
So if you look at it exactly, an ROI type of thing, where if somebody was guaranteed a 3-to-1 ROI on bringing you in, that, it's almost like those companies that do financial analysis for their, utilities or any kinds of things, and they take a third of the savings, or basing your fee roundabout on what the result is going to be, That's where you get into the things. I wouldn't want to tie your compensation to time. Okay. That's really time and effort. That's not really the winning formula. The winning formula is to tie it to results that you could then deploy through other people at what Michael Gerber would call the lowest skill level.
Okay.
Right? Like if you're if you're valuing your time at $150 an hour, if you're saying it's a couple of hours to do the $300 financial analysis, if you know what you're looking for, kind of thing, if you've got a protocol for how to do that, and somebody could do that, you could show somebody how to do that for $50 an hour. A trained, you could probably find some accountant that you could outsource that stuff to. What you're looking for is documenting and creating your algorithms, your way of doing things, and that your way is going to produce a consistent and predictable result. But let's talk about the marketing side, because that's where you can definitely have an impact for people. And one of the things that you may be able to start with them is what they've already got, starting where they are. And if somebody's in that situation, they've been in business for a few years, 3 to 4 people, $500,000 to $1 million, how many clients would they have? How many we talk about it as homes under management or pipes under management. How many homes would they be the incumbent plumber?
Sure. Well, that would depend a little bit on exactly what kind of work they're doing. So if you're doing new houses, for instance, you're going to have fewer because it takes, a week to do a system or whatever. If you're doing service calls, maybe multiple a day. But, a small town, the target market we talked about earlier, where you have a plumber or an HVAC guy in a small town, they're going to do pretty much everything because that's what you have to do because it's not that big of a market. I would say, now you're talking
not
about
just plumbing. You're saying all the services is what they're doing.
Right. Well, I mean, some of the companies are going to do plumbing and heating. Some are going to just do heating. Some just plumbing, whatever. But if it was a mix of the two, and you're doing some, like say on the HVAC side, you're going to do some furnace change outs and ACs, and you're going to do some service work, and you're going to do some new homes, and just a mix. Most of these guys are not good at the after unit as far as retaining customers.
That's my point. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, they're going to have not very many that just call them automatically. Let's put it that way.
Right. Yeah.
And they're not going to have people that are calling them for anything preventative because they're not telling them that they should be.
Right.
Doing that.
There's the big opportunity right there. Like without ever even facing forward. This whole thing is starting with what they've already got. This is how I would look at this and say, when I'm looking at those financials, it's not even so much about the details of the financials or the efficiencies that you can put in or, adjustments in pricing and all that kind of stuff. What I would be looking for is to see how many clients do they have, how many homes under management, if we call it that, and what is their return on relationship. So we look at their situation and we say they've got, would it be fair to say maybe in some amount of time they've been in the 500 homes or 1,000 homes or what would it be? What would you guess?
Yeah, between 500 and 1,000 for sure.
Okay, so let's call it 1,000. That they've been in 1,000 homes, and they are. You hear me use that word. They are the incumbent plumber or the incumbent, HVAC service worker. They've been the last company in there. They're the one that is right now the mayor of that home. They provide that need. Now, most of the time, most plumbers, most service providers never communicate with people after they leave.
Right.
So when you look at it, you could go in, and this is what I'm always looking for, is you could go in and create some magic tricks for them, where you can come in to say, okay, let's gather up all of your clients, all your households there, and then if you start showing them ways to maximize the return on relationship that they can get with those people through repeat business and referrals, Profit Activator 7 and 8, that's really going to be a nice foundation for you to work from, right? Like, first of all, helping them get that organized and thinking through a way. So, we're coming into the fall, and we have I had a plumber come to my Breakthrough Blueprint event in London. And then in the fall, what he did was send just a simple 9-word email to all of his clients saying, have you had your boiler serviced yet this year? And coming into the fall, right, when they're going to need that. And that is, if we take that equivalent here, have you had your furnace serviced this year? That coming into the fall is a really great opportunity. He was booking servicings as fast as he could answer the phone, as fast as they could get them scheduled. So you're saying, when you just send that out to all the people from the HVAC person, that because it's a good idea to have it serviced how often? Annually, right? At least.
Yep.
And most people don't. And most service providers don't suggest it or encourage it or schedule it or make it easy. They don't presence it. They leave,
right,
and then they wait until there's a problem, and then somebody calls them, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think that little system alone, kind of thing, if you're looking at maximizing the value of the people that they already have, and then systemizing that, so if you take that one person that you are thinking about doing this with, that you want to maybe come in and do your initial kind of structuralizing, right? Getting everything ready for ramping up. You wouldn't want to come in and just start with the marketing, because that's probably going to be more of a tax on the system than it would be a help in a lot of cases,
Mm-hmm.
So you want to get everything structured and set up properly first, with the financials and with the things, and make all those adjustments and give them a sense of solid foundation,
Sure.
Yeah.
So
because
one thing
go ahead.
I was just going to say, alongside of what you just said, I absolutely agree with you. Especially the HVAC, somewhat the plumbing, and not very much the electrical industries, especially HVAC, we'll stick with that because it's the best example. It's a huge thing. If you're doing any online reading, reading the trade magazines, following any of that, kind of the latest methodologies, I guess you could say, to have as big a list of what they call service agreements or maintenance agreements as you can.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're talking about. So what you're doing there is you're selling ahead of time. You're selling a maintenance agreement that I'm going to come here once in the fall and once in the spring and service your equipment, and you're going to pay me a fairly minimum amount, and then that gets you in their house, and you're the go-to guy from now on because you're tied to them. And you give them a little bit of a discount. You move them up on the list to a sooner service time and all that kind of stuff. So that would be part of what I would recommend also.
Yeah. And that alone, when you start thinking about that with 1,000 homes, and how long because differently than plumbing, like you're going to have an HVAC situation more often than a plumbing situation, right? Like plumbing can work and just be there. It's not, you can have that problem free for a long time, right?
Well, that depends on where you're at. Out here in the Midwest, where the houses are all 80 years old, that's not really the case. But you're right.
Okay,
in most cases, it's probably more of an HVAC issue.
Yeah, most people are not thinking about preventative plumbing maintenance, right? That's not.
Right.
You're not going to service your toilet, or nobody's thinking that way. So when you think about it, plus they have a functional lifespan, like an air handler or a air conditioning unit or whatever the components are going to break down, right? They're going to need replacement. How long do those things typically last? What would be the things that, if you look at a HVAC system, what would be the things that kind of break down first?
The very first thing is the outdoor coil on the air conditioner gets dirty, and it can't get rid of the heat, and then various different things happen, but it basically shuts it down. It could actually ruin it if it goes on long enough.
And that's what annual servicing can remove that problem.
Yes.
Right? Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And, I look at it that I have had in the last 36 months, I have replaced 3 air conditioning units and 2 air handlers in 36 months. And not once did any of the people ever communicate with me again. It was really, it's fascinating to me, to see that, how the way that works, and I know that next, this next season, I'm going to have to replace another air conditioning unit at my office, and but I'm not holding my breath that any of them will have recognized that, because literally they sit side by side outside. I mean, the 2 units are right there, right? And it's funny. I mean, but that's just, interesting psychology, that people are kind of always on to the next thing, and even with the best of intentions, So I would look at this as your kind of, baseline marketing thing, to be able to go in and show somebody what they can do with their, starting with their after unit, which is often counterintuitive to how people think about marketing. They think about before unit, getting out and finding new people. But if you take this idea where you can go into somebody and you've got a system, depending on whether it's a postcard or letter or email, that you can deploy at a couple of times throughout the year to encourage the annual things, where if you sent an email, a 9-word email to a client saying, just asking, have you had your furnace serviced this year? Then in the fall, leading up to when it's going to be a thing, to then when people say no, then saying we're scheduling servicing over the next 2 weeks. Would you like us to get you on the schedule? That's really all. That's how simple it can be. That would be a surefire, repeatable marketing system that you could, document and then deploy in any business. And if you've got
Sure.
the records to show, you think about that one business, your prototype that you're going to be able to work in, to implement that, record what happens, and document it so that you can do it again, so that you can deploy it somewhere. That's really going to be that'll be a foundational thing for you,
Yes. Yep. Okay.
And you can show the improvement on that, because if they look at it, that when you look at when you're doing your financial analysis, rather than looking at, in addition to looking at the things that you're looking at in terms of pricing, margins, and expenses and overhead and all that stuff, to also look at where the business came from. So if they had, how many invoices would somebody have in a typical year? How many clients would they see in
200 times 3, probably between 600 and 1,000.
Okay, so there's 1,000. So if you look at that, whatever, they had 1,000 invoices that came in, 1,000 jobs, and out of that, to break that down and to say how many of those 1,000 jobs were people that we've already done work for, and how much of it was new people who came from the before unit or some magical way found us.
Sure.
If they're calling from the Yellow Pages or doing whatever. Just to have that awareness, to overlay before, during, and after unit metrics on people is an eye-opener, So if you're saying, so it's easy to show that if they have 1,000 clients and they saw 600 people this calendar year or in the last 12 months, because you can set things up as a rolling average, 12-month rolling, that in those last 12 months, they saw 600 people, and of those 600, 300 of them were repeat, people who had come in before, then that would peg their return on relationship at 30%, right? 300 out of 1,000.
Sure. Okay, I got you.
So, yeah, that metric alone, if you can say now, you can show to somebody that we've got these 1,000 people in the last 12 months, 300 of them came back again, and let's try and get that to 600 in the next calendar year, or let's try and get that to 400 or 450 or whatever the number is. How can we improve that return on relationship? How can we get that? How can we move the needle on that?
Sure.
And that can be a foundational thing that, as you're going here, nobody else there. It's competition free.
Yep.
Because they already know you, they already like you, they already trust you, assuming that you did a good job when you were in there. They already know they already know the thing is, and as a matter of fact, they can feel comforted that they've got somebody, if anything did go wrong,
Sure.
But most of the time, what happens is that something does go wrong, and because they didn't keep in touch with them, they forget who it was.
Yeah.
Or
they're constantly starting from scratch on everything.
And they call whoever's available to come out right now.
Yes.
When they have the need. Whereas making people feel like they are handled. And people, we want to grant a monopoly, right? We want to have our plumbing and our HVAC situation handled. We want to have a guy.
We want to have peace of mind about it. Yes,
absolutely. Yes. That if anything happens, I know exactly who to call. But if you're only
I know they're going to take care of me. Yep.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
But if you're only in the home and you do the job and then you leave and that's it, that you never ever communicate with them again, then what what are the odds that they will remember you or that they'll think of that fondly if it's 2 years later,
Yes. Yep. Makes total sense.
Well,
I remember. I was just going to say, I remember when I was in business, I had a guy that constantly called me. He had a lot of issues, and I was always going out there. And every time he called me back, I was shocked. Like I didn't really expect him to. Because I wasn't even trying, but I think he was in that situation where, okay, I found a guy that's taking care of me. I'm just going to keep calling him. But
that's exactly right.
And I think that's a mindset that a lot of contractors have, that, well, I don't really deserve this, or I don't know if I did that great of a job, but they probably won't call me.
Well, that's all part of that mindset thing, is the lifetime value, is thinking about this. Like, imagine, if there was a law passed that you're not allowed to advertise anymore as a plumber. They've already got their 1,000 people. What if all they could do was communicate with those people? And it's like so much less expensive to do that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've seen the studies on that where, as far as finding new versus selling to your existing customer base, the percentages are.
So give me the recap here, Brandon. What have we decided here? It's top of the hour.
Okay. First of all, we're going to be visiting again, because I'm going to hunt you down at some of the functions and meet you face to face. So you have to call me Randy instead of Randall.
Okay, perfect. Randy. All right.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I guess, you confirmed what my thoughts have been, but my mind plays tricks and says that's not good enough. You need to be better. But anyhow, basically when I go in and talk to these people, if they're having an issue with their marketing, with having customers, start there. And we could even, if there's an issue with, we would like to do, say, less of one thing than another, target the customers where they've already done that work for them, maybe.
Yes.
Or, if there's been an issue with getting payment or satisfying them, just don't target those people. Make sure they're not on the list.
Right.
And focus on the ones that, this was a good customer. I want to keep going with them. And so, using 9-word emails, using selling service or maintenance agreements as much as possible. And the ones that don't buy it, follow up with them ones with the 9-word email thing, I guess, is what I was thinking.
Yes. Yeah, you're on track. I mean, that's, when you start thinking about that, you can then show a measurable increase, because if you've got that thing, you can go in and show somebody that metric, and they've never thought about breaking it down as a return on relationship number.
Sure.
Where they've got, this is how many people we have, and this is how many came in the last 12 months. That number is eye-opening for most of them. And so to be able to, just with some simple things, and that 9-word email being the same thing, and then when you, in the spring, have you had your air conditioner serviced yet?
Yes.
There's 2 annuities that are just waiting for them to send out, that is worth way more than $150 an hour, right?
Yes.
You show them that that's going to bring in thousands of dollars, and it doesn't take you much time to do that, right?
Right.
So we're thinking about results, getting paid on those.
Yes. How about a form of the world's most interesting postcard for referrals, like your customers that you did a furnace change out for?
That's exactly right. Yes, absolutely. And that's where I would definitely start with that. I mean, start with building out 2 or 3 after unit things that you have documented and can prove that now they're like, because it's zero cost to implement a 9-word email campaign like that. It's all upside. And so then just have people use that to maybe fund then doing some things like, let's take your top 150 and your top clients, and let's just test with this, sending a monthly postcard to them and see if we can orchestrate referrals from that group.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's right. You talk
you're
about
thinking along the right.
Okay, good deal. Yeah. One more thing before you let me go, I should say, if you would, real quickly. My son-in-law and his brother started a roofing business in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
And I thought of you with my question here because I remember listening to an episode with a guy up in Vancouver, BC, that had like a power washing.
Yes,
company.
exactly.
Yeah. So with these guys, their target market is not new construction. It is doing re-roofs. Yes. Yep. And as a very good sideline, because of the amount of shedding trees out there, all the fir trees, a big part of it also is cleaning roofs and gutters. Yes. And in visiting with my son-in-law, they're going, but they haven't been going very long. And one thing I'm going to do after this conversation is offer to use them as guinea pigs for my system here. But I guess we were talking about how to find people, because there are legion out there. They need somebody to come take care of the roof. And, it's not just my roof's bad, but I need it cleaned. I need the needles taken out of the gutters. I need all this stuff. And I'm just wondering, that guy was doing neighborhoods. He was targeting a neighborhood and doing like a free driveway or something. Yeah. What are your thoughts in hatching an evil scheme for them to get that kind of going? Just basically, I don't want you to go into great detail because I know we're tight on time, but. Yeah. No, I would look at that same kind of thing. Like that's something that they're going to need repeatedly, And so I would listen in. I would have them re-listen to that episode again, because a lot of those things would be immediately applicable, And that if they're a company, that's a great lead generator for their roofing business, in terms of right, like everybody's gonna need to get that done every year more often, and while up there doing the inspection and stuff to be able to tell people what's going on, So you could do like a reduced rate on the cleaning, and it would be like a marketing cost almost. Absolutely. And say, okay, we're going to clean your gutters, and you get a free roof inspection at the same time. Yeah, exactly. And you're going to say, hey, there's an issue up here with this and that, the other thing, and you could either re-roofs or repairs or something. Okay, that's awesome. That's exactly right. Awesome. Yeah, and then I would recommend listening to the I Love Marketing podcast. There was an episode that we did called Yellow Pages Roulette. And, I remember that, yes. Okay, and one of those segments, one of the businesses that we flipped to in the Yellow Pages was a roofing company, and I outlined this whole system for a roofing roofing company that would be kind of my best advice on that. Oh, okay, cool. I didn't realize that there was a roofing one. I listened to some of those, but sweet. Yeah. All right, Randy, it's been enjoyable. I've had a great time. Time flies, doesn't it? It does. I think you've got a great foundation here, but the thing that you want to lead with is something that could be a revenue generator for them. A magic trick that you can come in, show them how to send that 9-word email, get them some business. So everything that you're doing with them pays for itself. That it's all. Wow, every time Randy walks in the door, we make more money. Let's get him in here as much as we can. Yeah, I like it. All right. I like it. All right, Daniel, it's been a pleasure, and it's been something I've anticipated for a while. Look forward to meeting you sometime in the future. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. All right. Yeah, bye-bye.
And there we have it. Now, I love things like this where syndications are involved. And, that's really where I set up the entire 8 profit activator model, the breakthrough DNA process, as a overlay that fits on any business. Now, what I've done in syndication is set up systems for real estate agents where I've taken the 8 profit activators, I've applied them to the real estate business specifically. I've created turnkey systems that help real estate agents get the results that they want, which are leads and listings and converting those leads and getting referrals and multiplying their listings. All the things that a real estate agent would love to have to grow their business. But I don't talk about the profit activators because I've already gone and applied the profit activators to get the result for them. I talk about the profit activators when I'm talking to a variety of businesses because they're the activating ingredients. They're the things that make this possible. So when I'm talking to a broad audience, I have to talk about the context and the principle of what it means to set up a before unit and a during unit and an after unit, and then the individual elements of the profit activators of selecting a target market and compelling them to raise their hand and educating and motivating them and making an offer so that you can deliver a dream come true result. All of those things are directly applicable to any business. And if you've got a way that you have applied those in a consistent way that gets a result for people, there may be an opportunity for you to package up what you've done like a franchise prototype and help other businesses do the same thing, shortcutting their process. And I love to help people with that. If you've got an idea for something like that, or there's you want to explore doing something like that, send me an email, dean@deanjackson.com, and put syndication in the subject line because I love to work with people who are syndicating things. I've got a lot of experience in that. If you'd like to continue this conversation, you can go to morecheeselesswhiskers.com. You can download a copy of our More Cheese, Less Whiskers book. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show and hatch some evil schemes for your business, just click on the Be a Guest link. And that will let me know exactly what you want to work on, and we can schedule some time to hatch some evil schemes for you. If you'd like to see where your business stacks up with the 8 profit activators and where the next opportunity is for you, we have a whole scorecard set up for you at profitactivatorscore.com. And you can go through, find yourself on these 8 profit activators and get instant clarity on where the opportunity is in your business. So that's it for this week. I look forward to talking to you next time. Bye-bye.